Hey everyone, welcome back to Serving Up Success with a Splash. And boy, do we have an episode for you tonight. But of course, I'm Bruce Kramer, the corporate cockroach. And as always, I'm joined by my incredible co-host, Dr. Nitesh Dosanjh, the strategy doctor. And of course, Angie Snowball, the Renaissance woman. But tonight, tonight we have what we call Drambuie and DISC Over Décor, personality at work. And really, it's going to be about the DISC profiling assessment. And so, if you're not familiar with it, basically, the DISC is a behavioral assessment that identifies about 4 primary personality traits that are all within us. Now, typically we have 1 or 2 that dominate, and we're going to get into that. But what we're going to do tonight is we're really going to focus on each of the DISC types and how they like to communicate and how they like to be communicated to. And then, yes, we're going to take a look and say, hey, what does their office say about them? So if you take a look around.
Mine has a bar, so let's start there.
This
I
is
think
a
we can
dead
guess me.
giveaway. So as coaches or anyone in business, when you're Zooming, you can get a lot of information by just scanning what's behind them. Now, so what I would say about this episode, whether you're just trying to better connect with your team, your clients, or more importantly, your spouse or significant other, this episode will have something for you. But before we get started, we have one of my old Wisconsin drinks on the menu tonight. Angie?
All right, here we go. I keep calling this a dirty nail, by the way, but it's a rusty nail, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a rusty
Well,
nail.
after a few of these, it turns
Might
in.
get dirty. Okay, here we go. All right, so we are doing 3/4 Scotch, or unless you're Natej and you're cheating and you did bourbon. But technically, it says you could do that. I'm not a Scotch drinker. I don't discriminate against many alcohols, but Scotch is not my favorite. Okay, and then we're gonna put the Drambuie in here. And this one's super easy. All we have to do is stir it. I do have a cute little you should get a big ice cube though. It's a snowball, but it melted a little bit already.
Imagine Angie Snowball with a
I know I
snowball.
have snow ice cubes. Okay, all right, here we go. Let's see. Let's see if I pucker. Oh, that's good. I was a little nervous about this one, Bruce. That's good.
Hey,
I've
I
never
mean,
had
there's a
Drambuie
reason why
before.
Wisconsin is always up there at the top for drinking. We know our drinks.
Me too. Well, that's good.
All
Okay, back
right.
to you, Bruce, now that we're all drinking and happy.
So a quick refresher on DISC before we dive in. The D in DISC stands for dominance. The I in DISC stands for influence. And the S in DISC stands for steadiness. And the C in DISC is either compliance or conscientiousness. And so those are your 4 personality traits: dominant, influence, steady, or compliant.
I have none
And
of that. I have no C. I'm out.
and the point I want to make is we really do, most of us typically have all 4 of these traits. However, 1 or 2 really dominate, as I said earlier. But D types, they're really driven. They're all about let's get it done. The I types, they're inspiring and interactive, and they like to do things together, but boy, you better have fun doing it. And S types, well, they're steady and supportive. Let's do it calmly and cooperatively. And then you've got your C types. They're very careful and correct. Let's do it right and do it right the first time. So my first question, Dr. Natej, what does your disc profile look like?
So mine is very strong I, And the D and the C, I have good D and C. Good is not a good word here. I have I'm halfway, 50% on the D and the C. Maybe the D is a little bit higher than the C. And I have close to 0 S.
That's funny to me because you're so like supportive of and perceptive, and I find that interesting.
You know, though, that's a great comment because for those of us that, continue to revisit these behavioral assessments over time, we do start to compensate where we know we're weak. And also as we become more in tune to the fact that and no one trait is better than the other. They're all
Right.
equally as effective.
Absolutely. Yeah,
As we
totally.
start to adopt some of the other behaviors, because quite frankly, we realize we're lacking. But Angie, what about you?
Yeah, so I guess you guys can probably already guess what I am. But before I start, Bruce, I do want to comment on what you just said. I just made him joke. But if for anybody who's not familiar with disc, it's in a circle. That's why they call it disc. There's a DISC or however it is. And I always think of that like a wheel wouldn't turn if there weren't all four. Like you need everything to be equal. So when like you're building a team, you don't want all eyes. You'll never get anything done. You're gonna sit at my bar and have a great time and nothing will ever happen. So you kind of need all of them. And I also, even in relationships, I find that I'm better balanced when there's somebody to hold me to my other one. So I'm a super high I. I'm also high S. And then I guess you guys are the experts on this, but when I took disc, it had like different sections that you were good at. And there were sections that I was very high D. And what I learned is I'm a D when I have to be. I don't like
Mm,
it, but I also don't
mm,
like people that can have meetings to have meetings. I'll just like, shut up. Okay,
yeah.
I'm in charge. We're done now. I'm a D today. So I don't like it, but if somebody else doesn't do it, I don't like the sitting around part. So I think that's neat about these traits too. Like you said, we compensate for it. And also we learn the people we need in our lives to like make up for it. And the other thing is like said I have no C. Like I really don't. I remember Jim saying, I've never seen this before. I've never seen a C that low in my life. I'm never gonna be a C. I hate it. It's just me. I hate it. I love C people though, because I wouldn't have a business without them. I just outsource it. Anything C, I'm like, tell me when I'm broke. Tell me when you need me to sign something. I don't even want to know what's happening because I'm not interested. But I need really good C people. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a business.
Angie, I don't think you could even you couldn't train as a C. You couldn't train for 5 years and your C would not rise at all.
No, my brain just doesn't want it. Like you can
No,
sit there and tell me, and my brain's like, sorry, I'm busy, I'm
no,
doing other things. We're
no.
over here having fun and planning the next party. So you could exactly. You can tell me 5 years. It's just not me. But it's important. Like it's
Yeah.
the basis of like any business, not just entrepreneurship. That's why it was good for me to recognize because I needed to bring on some very, very trusted C people that could communicate with me and I could communicate with them and we didn't drive each other crazy. Otherwise, I wouldn't be where I am today. So thank you, all my C people.
It's our pleasure, Angie. Totally
You.
our
Yeah,
pleasure.
absolutely. We thank them too. Oh, so are
Funny.
you finished?
Yeah, I'm done. That's the problem with eyes too. They don't shut up.
Well, so yeah, if you haven't guessed, I'm a very strong I, and
Yeah,
just like
talking about not shutting up. Yeah, let's go there, Bruce.
not a great pairing for a podcast, but nonetheless, so I'm a very high I, but I'm also a very high D. And just to let you know on a secret, amongst people that are in coaching and consulting, we refer to the D sometimes as strictly dicks. And I resemble that. So I'm not hopefully offending anybody because I'm in that
No, it's kind
category.
of true. And sometimes you need that, right? Otherwise, everybody puts around and doesn't get anything done. So,
Yeah. And then my S is almost non-existent, and I'm way below average on the C as well. But it's interesting what Angie was saying because I know in the coaching business, before I work with a client, this is the very first step is I'm if they haven't had a recent DISC assessment, I ask that they do that. And the reason for that is because then we compare. Because what I want to ensure is we have the strongest working relationship possible. And by better understanding how we choose to communicate and receive information, right from the get-go, we get off to a good start. I do the same if I walk into an organization and they're working with a team. The very first step we're going to do is who has done a disc. If they haven't, let's do it together and then have everybody on that team share, the outcomes of their
So
assessment.
what do you guys do if you find people who are not very good fits for your personality? I can tell you what I do, but what do you do if you find somebody who is very opposite you as a client?
Natesh, do you want to take that or want me to
No,
go
you,
first?
no, you, no,
So,
you go first because I want to think about it.
yeah, well,
I'm buying
the
some
very
time here,
first
Bruce.
thing, I never shy away from, because again, all of them, all of them are important, all the different traits. We're gonna complement one another. And that's the way I come at it. But what we do is we have a very frank discussion. I said, "Oh my God, let's say, because ID, if I'm with somebody that, the steadiness, where they're very calm and stuff, we just have that frank dialogue. Please let me know if at some point I'm not respecting who you are." And so I never shy away from anyone because we need everyone. However, when it comes to a team, you hit the nail on the head. I will comment that we got a whole lot of people here that are great at thinking, but we ain't going to get shit done. And then we, consciously try to figure out how we're going to manipulate the makeup of that team because you're right, you can't all be the same. Um,
Yeah. I think
and
we might be
so
ready for break. I think
I
we're
think
close,
we
right?
are. So
Let's go to
So
break.
what we're going to
Natej gets
do,
more time to think.
yeah. Well, when we
I've got an
come
answer.
back,
I've got an answer now. No, I've got an answer, but I'm going to wait till after break. It'll be
okay.
the first
All
thing I
right,
say
Jesse, take us to
after
break.
break.
Welcome back. So what I'd like to do is, Natesh, I do want you to answer that question, and that question being, what do we do as coaches if we come across somebody that's like complete opposite us as it relates to these traits? So I'll let you answer that. And then I do want to cut to a question that came in, and then we'll dive in to the other part of this discussion. Natesh?
Yeah, that is a great question that's coming actually. But I think Angie, that was a really good question, which is why I wanted to think about it to give us a solid answer. Um, I think I've learned that I should have been better with C's um, bef- for a long time before I learned that I needed to be better. I think I didn't pay enough regard when needing to get things done. I didn't pay enough regard to the C's that were really the supportive, foundational um,
Yeah,
bedrock
just
of
like
what we were
yeah.
trying to achieve. And but now it's funny. I always try and employ C's, always. But I not only do I employ them now, I really appreciate them because they think of the things that I'm not thinking of. I can compensate for my lower C, but it's better if the people who are really good at it do it.
I
But
think
anyway,
so
that was
too.
my answer.
Yeah, I thought that too, not just. That's why I asked. So I'm not a business coach. I'm like a communication coach, but they are different. Because I also, and my team, we do a lot of content creation. So for me, and I was kind of brought that up for other people that are not necessarily business coaches, like what happens when you get a client that you immediately are like, I don't like this guy. I mean, he's not gonna like me. Maybe not like is a strong word, but like I've had like some really high C's come to me, and I actually told him, I didn't say no, get the hell out of here, but I did say like, I really like you. I love what you're doing. I'm afraid if we work together, we might not maintain that relationship, but because we're so different. But I know someone because I've made referral partners that are different personality types than me, so that I can confidently say, but I think I have someone who will really get you. Like I don't think I'll get you the way you deserve, but I know someone
Mm,
who will. So that's kind of how I deal with it because I don't want anybody to be frustrated with me. And I think C's like a really high C, I really think they'd be frustrated. And I don't blame them. If I would be too. So
Yes, but
So
you're obviously thinking about it, that which is great. But,
yeah.
that's
So
the important thing.
we have a great question that came in from Jack. By the way, do you know this, Jack?
I do. That's my husband. I love
Well,
how he asks you guys and he doesn't ask me at home.
so I do the best way I'm gonna take a shot at it, and then I hope Natej or Angie, because the question is how much does mood play into to this? Like if you're in a bad mood or whatever, what's the impact of that on in terms of your profile? And the only way I can think off the top of my head, and this happens to me, and I have to guard against this, is my mood will change when I'm working with a group or an individual, and things we're just not getting where we need to go. We're not getting done, or I'm getting frustrated. I tend to fall back into the dick mode where I become a lot more direct. I become a lot more urgent and, that would be the last thing you'd want to do with a couple of these personality traits. And so I literally have to be very cognizant when my mood's changing as I go throughout the day for a number of different reasons, may not have nothing to do with the individual or team I'm working with. You do have to be careful you don't fall into one of your primary styles that may be in conflict with who you're talking to. Anybody
Yeah.
want to
Natej,
add
what
to
do you
that?
think?
I would say that it doesn't affect the assessment, or maybe at the edges. It may affect you as a person, but the assessment would come out roughly the same. But in terms of the mood affecting how you deal with things in the moment, yeah, of course. But the assessment, no, maybe at the margins, but no, the
I think
assessment.
yeah, it's pretty like detailed. So I actually know, obviously I know why he's asking this question because you say we have no C, but go on a trip with me and there will be nothing that you're lacking. I have all of it. Like I do have my moments where I have details, but like personal life and work life are different. And as Jack's surrounded by business coaches all the time, he hears about DISC all the time. And I thought it was a really good question when he asked me. He was like, well, how do you know? Because you're sometimes so different at work than you are in your personal life. Like I said, my D, like that's at work. I will never have a D in regular. If I'm out drinking at the bar, you guys can make any decision you want. I'll just be there for the party. Like never. But at work, it doesn't take long to frustrate me. They're like, look, if you can't figure this out, I'm taking over. So I think it was a interesting thought that like how do you know that you're a high I? Because I see you sometimes and you're a high D, or you say you have no C, but I've seen it.
Yeah.
So it's really, I think if you haven't taken a disc assessment though, you almost have to take it to understand that because there's so many questions. It really does address your personal and professional by the way they ask the questions, I think.
And and here's what I hope to be a golden nugget. And this is something I didn't realize or I didn't grasp early on. But in the DISC assessment, in the analysis, if you see somebody's behavior wildly different, in their home life versus work, that's usually a pretty good sign you probably have somebody that's not enjoying their work.
Oh, that is
They
good.
actually encourage that the closer, if you're the same person at home as you are at work, that's kind of what you want to strive towards. Because if there's a gap on either side of that equation, there is a red flag potentially of being somewhat unhappy, disgruntled. And so that's just something to keep in mind.
So do people's change? Like you guys do these, I did mine, but I've never done it with other people. Do people's change if they change jobs and situations? Will they take the disc assessment and get different answers?
Um,
Over time, we can change. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
You're
And
not going
there's
to change from one day to the next doing a different job, but over time, behaviors can become more embedded, and then obviously you have changed, right?
Hmm.
The other thing that's happened, because people, just over time are much more aware of these types of assessments, they can be gamed. However, we are taught secrets as to how to uncover whether we're being gamed. And so when we do a debrief, the only way we can uncover whether they're gaming the system. So, there's people that, apply for a certain position and they get a pretty good feel what they're looking for. And so their disc assessment will kind of lean. Well, there are tricks of the trade during debriefing as to how you can tell whether or not it's been gamed. But back to your original question, yes, over time, um, let's just say I was a much bigger dick earlier on. I mellowed through the years just because as I just became more aware and more respectful of others as I grew up and matured, you do get you do change, not drastically, but you can definitely tell your disc output is much different than
Yeah,
it
but
was
what
40
basically
years ago.
yeah, you're saying though your disc is kind of the same. It's just you've adjusted because you know that you're
Yeah,
a D, so you've adjusted your personality to be more patient and, put a little tact on that D that is not so harsh
yeah.
versus, like
Okay.
I worked in automotive, so I heard a lot of bad words like that. A lot of a lot of high D's threw a lot of bad words around.
Yeah.
But then you see them get older. I see some of these guys now that are retired, and it's like I'm like, oh my gosh, you did not work for that man when I did. Like he's like, can I please have this? I'm like, I worked for him for 5 years and never heard the word please. In fact, the only word I had was the F word. So it's interesting that I feel like as you get older, you still maintain your base personality behavior, but you learn how to adjust it so that you work with
Absolutely.
others.
Well, you learn to appreciate the other traits more. You start
Yeah.
to realize they really are to your detriment. And
Yeah,
so,
like I said, you need
yeah,
all of them to make the wheel turn,
yep,
right? And Natej said it too. I love hiring C's, because you appreciate them, and it's like because people I think too think of it as a test, like, oh, what if I fail? There's no way to fail. Each one of
no,
these is so important, and it's important to be your authentic self. Natej said this last week too, when we were recording. It's so important just to be you. The disc is only about understanding and accepting who you are so you can learn to adjust your behaviors or work with other people better.
yep, well
But we're
said.
not changing.
In
All
fact,
right,
our
well, let's,
assessments of Bruce, just one point here. This is interesting to me, for echoing what Angie said. So all our three assessments, disc, the way what we come out of disc, it's not too different to where we are in reality. There can be some disc assessments that are very different from reality. The person is, as Bruce said, the individual is having to game or slightly play a different role. And I got to say, I feel happy that my external behaviors mimic who I am underneath it. I'm happy that my disc behaviors are what they are because that's who I am in reality. Just make sure that you stay happy.
I'm happy you are who you are too. The perfect
Thanks,
fit.
Angie.
all right, well, let's start talking communication. This is piggybacking on last week's episode. And the reason why I want to talk about communication is because the way we speak, listen, and lead says everything about us. So, starting with you, Nitej, how do D types tend to communicate and how do they like to be communicated to?
As you'd expect, Bruce. Quick, precise, results orientated. Don't have time for the fluff. Don't ask me how I am. Don't ask me how the kids are. It's just what do we need to get done? And let's then do it. Get to the point. Tell me quickly. I don't want to hear the story around it. What's the problem? How are we going to get to a solution? Um, and that that's you in many ways, right? That's who you are in many ways, Bruce. And we love that. We love that. You organize us, and we
I
we
know. And I know we have to go to break, but really, really quick, when I first met Natej, I do 30-minute discovery sessions. We were done in 10. He's like, okay, I'm in, the end. Like, it was like, I said, okay, do
yeah.
this. And he goes, okay, let's go.
I have an
very
element of, I have a big element of just getting to the point too.
Yeah, which is awesome. Yeah, I loved him right away. I'm like, this guy's awesome.
All right. Well, take us to break, Jesse. And when we come back, Angie, you're up.
I'm ready.
Okay, Angie, talk to us about the eye influence
All
types.
right. So I like to work with people that I think I will enjoy working with, that I'm going to have fun with. So I'm okay with D because I need somebody that like takes control. I want somebody to say this is the plan, but I also want somebody to, I don't know, listen to me. You know, like if you're gonna work with me, I want to know that we're gonna be fun and we're gonna get along together. So that's really something I look for.
Okay. How about the S? And Angie, I'm going to stick with you. How about the S types, the steadiness folks?
So I think so that's why it's interesting to me because that's kind of the same answer to me. Like it's caring. I want somebody who's going to be compassionate. Again, it's listening to me. I want somebody who's going to hear. Nothing frustrates me more than I sit down and I tell somebody, this is what I need. And they say, okay, well, we'll do this. And I say, well, that doesn't solve my problem. Like, why are we even talking? Like, the end for me. I need somebody that's going to say, hey, you know, ask me questions. What do you really need? Because sometimes clients don't know what they need, you know, me included. So I need somebody to ask me questions, talk to me, and listen to me. And then in the end, they can say this, and that. But like I'll buy something because I'm emotionally connected. Like I don't care what it costs. If it's the right thing and you listen to me and we're gonna get along, I'm in.
All
But you
right.
have to care about me. If you
Yeah.
don't like me,
No, that's,
I'm not buying
yeah.
anything from you. If you're mean to me, I don't care how cheap it is, I won't buy it.
There's a comment up there. He shrunk with age. So if people are seeing my eyes, there's stuff coming in on the chat. I'm not sure what that meant or what the
I know what it
context
means,
was.
Bruce. I'm just not going to tell you.
Oh,
Just not going to tell you.
okay. All right.
Okay.
All
But it
right.
was your
Thank you.
earlier comment about when you were younger, you were a bigger D.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
That's
All
funny.
right. On that note, talk to us about the C types, the conscientiousness or the compliance type personality trait. How do they
So
communicate?
So again, as you'd expect, they're very analytical, very precise, asking a lot of questions. I want to say this about C types. Um, there are C types who can get to the point and ask difficult questions, and you think, "Oh wow, I'm glad they asked that question because I don't know the answer." And there are C types who ask more obvious questions, and they can be more frustrating to an I or a D, like me, and like me, they can be more frustrating. But I've learned you've got to let them go through that process of understanding, because at the end of it, a nugget is going to come. But they just gotta break it down. And as I say, I really try to surround myself with C types because I know they're going to do the work, and I massively appreciate them. But there is from what I see a difference. C types that get to the point quickly and ask the killer question quickly, and then C types that need the intermediate questions to
Yeah.
get to the big question.
And you
And
know, like the other way around, me talking to a C, I know that I
mm,
have to curb myself. I know that they do not care about my weekend. I know that they don't care about, you know, what I'm doing. They don't care. So I have to be careful to be very concise. And also, like, if you go through a discovery call with me, there is a way that I can show you how to track insights. Neither one of you two asked me what it was. So we went through like, but I have a way, and I know when it's a C person, I tell them that first. I say, you should know that marketing is a gamble. We do not know what's going to happen. Anyone that promises you anything is lying, but I can show you a trend, and this is where you find your insights. And that's the first thing I have to do if I'm going to work with a C. And to me,
interesting.
that's backwards of how I would do it because it's backwards of how I would want to hear it.
Oh, wow.
You're very accomplished at this, Angie.
Yeah.
You just read. You read the room. You read the room. You read the person. You read people when they're asleep, probably.
But it's really just learning. Learning disc really changed a lot
Poor
for me.
Jack. Poor Jack.
He hates this, by the way. He hates that everybody talks about it. At my birthday thing a couple weeks ago, everybody was talking about D and I and S and C, and my kids were there and they were all interested. And Jack comes over, he goes, "Oh, damn it, this SC shit again. Here we go." But I think he loves it. Like he understands it. But we do. We talk about it when we're out having fun because it's such a huge part. Like you said in the very beginning, Bruce, it's not just about business, it's your relationships, it's how you get
Yeah.
along with people.
Yep. The greatest thing you can do after finishing one of these assessments and getting your results is go to your loved ones and say, "What do you think?" And you'll know if because again, part of the assessment is you take it quickly. You don't want to overthink anything. You just what hits you, that's how you answer. And so if you're wondering, God, I wonder how I did, just ask those closest to you. They'll let you know.
That's a good advice.
All right, now for the fun part. What does their office setup say about them? So, Natej, if you were to walk into a D's office, what do you expect to see, or what do you think they present to you?
So if you walk into a D's office, you're going to see some manifestation of power. It could be obvious, like a trophy, yeah, or it could be something like a clear desk, or it could be the decor will be minimal, and it's basically displaying power, and I'm in charge and I get things done. And I am sure it's 100% subconscious. I'm sure nobody is thinking, "Oh, I know, I'll buy some fake trophies and put them on my desk." I'm sure that's not happening. Okay. But we present our personalities in a whole sort of subconscious ways as well as conscious ways. So to me, a D is so easy to spot.
I think I would agree with Natej. Between D's and I's are easy. I was only laughing because if you look to either side of me, you will see Care Bears and a lot of glitter cups and things that make me happy. So I think I's are, not to mention the bar behind me. So I's are pretty easy to spot, but I think D's are easy too. To me, C's and S's are the harder ones to
Yeah.
read.
So talk more about the eyes, Angie. What do you see when you're on a Zoom and you're perusing their background? What's a giveaway for an eye?
Well, one thing I think too, eyes, unless they're, in their business mode, you'll notice a lot of eyes don't usually have the Zoom backgrounds because they're very happy with what they have going on around them because they've surrounded themselves by things that make them
Right.
happy. So when
Okay.
you put that, I mean, I notice myself because sometimes I do have to be a grown up and I put the Zoom screen behind me and I'm like, God, it's so boring. When is this thing over? Like, I don't even like looking at it myself. I want to look at because I have other signs and stuff. I don't always have the bar in the background, but that's one thing on a Zoom call that I think you can tell with very quickly sometimes.
How about an
I
S
got,
type?
I
Oh,
gotta
wait,
say,
go
no,
ahead,
no,
Natesh.
I gotta say, you two, and probably me too. Just by looking at your background, it's just so obvious that your eyes. If I had never met you, it is so obvious that your eyes, just by your back, there's a bit of creativity going on. There's a bit of asymmetry going on. It's not sort of neutral. It's not cold. It's not. I can't see any trophies. I can just see fun in your backgrounds.
And same for you. We talked about that when we were talking about the podcast. Like, oh, do we want to have a Zoom background so we all match? And we all decided no, because we want
No.
our personalities to be what they
A-
are, like
And,
who we
and
are.
full disclosure, Angie decided for us.
Well, I am the marketing person.
Yeah, yeah, she did.
But
She
the
did.
same with
She did it very
Natej.
nicely, though.
Yeah, she did. We were having fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think like Natchez, you see the world behind him and it already speaks and it's a colorful world. It's not
Yeah.
it's not the map. It's not, with capitals. It's you can tell that Natchez is the guy who travels the world to feel the culture, to feel the colors and the excitement and everything around him, not the guy that travels the world to check off boxes and say, I've been there, I know that.
I go to feel the wine.
Yeah.
It's very,
I go
it's
to
pretty
feel the
obvious.
wine and the food. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's why he was missing last week, is he was
Yeah.
enjoying the colorful uh beauty of Portugal and all of their wine. How
Yes.
about the S types? Angie, I'm going to come back to you. What do you expect to see when you look at their background or step into their office?
Actually I don't know. I'm going to say that because I think the S's and C's are really hard. That's why they're not, definitely wouldn't judge them by their cover. Um, because I think S's are sometimes, I, my husband's probably still listening, and he hasn't taken one, but I really think he's an S because he's just always that guy. He's steady. He's got his routines and I need him. He's the best thing that happened to me because he balances me 100%. Yeah, cheers to Jack. But that's the only thing I would say, like looking at their background, I think it's harder. But if you sit with them and you talk to them and they're the kind of person that orders the same thing at the restaurant every time, or they're the person that, wants to have their coffee at this time, or just different things. Not everybody's are the same, but to me, that's how I identify an S because it's harder for me. So any tips you guys have on identifying S's, I'd be all ears because actual just looking at it's hard for me.
I
Let
I
me think
do.
about that. Let me think about that. Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, I will say this because you'll typically see photos, family photos. They
Oh,
also convey a very warm environment. And I can think of people that I know that their predominant trait is S, and it is just very comforting. I don't, it's just very warm, inviting, and they're surrounded by family photos, etc.
gosh,
So,
that makes so much sense. And Jack always wants to hang up pictures of like a billion
yeah,
people. Like you just hit the nail
yep,
on the head. And I'm like, why do we have to have all these weird people on our walls? That is
yep.
so him. That's awesome. That's a really good tip.
All right, Natej, C types. Oh, we got 1 minute to break.
Okay, I can
Maybe,
do it in 1 minute. I can do it. I can do it in
okay.
1 minute. So think about it. Let's think about a C type, the mind of a C type. It's logical, it's calm, it's tidy, it's neutral. They've got the question bank figured out. They know the path, and the room is going to reflect that. Their office is going to reflect that. Everything is going to be functional, it's going to be labeled, it's going to be logical. They know where everything is, it's tidy, but they're not displaying power, it's just tidy. And they can get to their stuff really easily. Their laptop, their folders, everything is going to be very, very clear. They'll be able to find the file quickly.
So,
That's why
so
we
when you
need
think
them.
about it, all that stack of papers, piles of papers, those will be in file cabinets if you're with a C type. Oh, welcome back. Hopefully everybody's still with us. By the way, Angie and Nitesh, thank you very much. I think those were excellent overviews of the personality traits. We could talk about this stuff forever. Um, but I want to get into a little bit of some of the key takeaways because this can be used for the wrong reasons. This is not about labeling people. This is how you better connect with people. And I always worry about this because if I do this exercise with a team, you know, people, oh, you're a D, and we start, we think of them in terms of their personality, their predominant personality trait, and it becomes more of just, oh, he's a D, or she's an S, or she's an I, And that's not what it's about. It's about connecting. And hopefully, when you understand who you are in greater detail, and this goes back to our very first episode, awareness about how you prefer to be communicated to and how you prefer to communicate, that's the awareness piece. But then learning about how others really makes you a lot more effective. And that's really what it's all about.
And
My other,
respectful. I think that's a
yeah,
key word that is like, it's not
yep.
just effective, it's you're learning to respect other people.
Thank you. That is it. The other thing in today's world, Zoom is now huge. I mean, we're all doing Zoom. And I know a lot of times people put the fake backgrounds, but even the fake background is usually they selected it. So again, it does reflect, their personality trait. And so even with a fake background, there is some insights as to who they are potentially. But that's why we also prefer no backgrounds, just where are you coming from? I don't care if you're working out of your kitchen. Well, maybe not the bathroom. That we
Yeah,
draw the
we'll
line
pass on that.
because that's actually happened.
Oh, okay, good. No,
Not by
thanks.
me. But so again, I think some of the stuff we were sharing today, next time you're on a Zoom, whether it's fake or real, that background is saying something about who you're communicating with. So that's my Angie.
Yeah, I think what, like you said, once you know disc and other people around you know disc, it's very hard not to talk in the style of, oh, you're an I, I'm a high S. I mean, people just talk that way once you know that world. So I think it is important not to compartmentalize people and stereotype them, but to focus on the respect. Like, I'm learning this because I want to be able to respect you. I respect our differences. And not only that, but I appreciate our differences. I appreciate that my wheel wouldn't spin without people that are polar opposites of me. Whereas I think when I was younger, I'd be like, oh my God, I don't want to hang out with that C guy. He sucks and he's really boring. And I think we shouldn't invite him. Now I'm like, please invite that guy so that we get all the pictures and we have itineraries and we all know where we are. And thank him for being the most valuable person of our group. So I think, once you learn that these styles are not about what you don't have necessarily, but what everyone else has and how to appreciate and respect those pieces.
Well
How about that?
said.
I shut myself up. That's a first.
That was so
I'm marking my calendar.
actually.
Mic
Natesh,
drop.
what does the doctor say?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I say that Angie just knocked the ball out of the park with that explanation. That was fantastic. So I'm gonna have to make something else up now because Angie, Angie took the best lines. So I'm gonna say similar things to what you've both said, but I'm gonna use slightly different words. Angie, you talked about respect, but I'm gonna use the word understand. Disc has really, and I'm going to speak from my point of my heart, I suppose. Disc has really helped me understand people. There was a point, I mean, a long time ago, where I didn't really understand the way people communicated and why they communicated that way and why they would be interested in certain things. Didn't they have enough information already just to get on with things? So I now understand. And as part of our show, a guiding philosophical point of our show is that we seek to understand before we seek to be understood. So DISC fits right into that. It is great. It is such a great tool to understand people. And then, as Angie said, give them respect. Because we get a better result. I get a better result when I have understood people and communicated with them in the way they want to be communicated. And I get a terrible result. I get an awful result when I do it in just the way I want to do it, in my style. So DISC has really, really helped me. I'm so grateful for DISC and everything it's given me.
And that speaks to good advice, what you just said, Dr. Natesh, who also
Yeah.
knocked it out of the park with off right away. That's a lot of times people don't prepare for their meetings. They
Yep.
don't prepare for meeting new people. Especially I types like me. I tend to wing it. Knowing DISC has changed that about me. I do my best to check them out on LinkedIn, to check them out on Facebook, wherever I can find them. So that not because I'm stalking them, I mean, sometimes, but most of the time because I just want to respect them when I meet them. I want them to not feel like I'm trampling all over them. I need to know if I can talk a lot. Should I ask how your weekend is, how many kids you have, or do I just ask when do we start? Right? And that I need to know that. So it's changed me and learning to do my research.
And this ties to our second episode with Dr. Natesh on AI. It's interesting because if we had, I think I mentioned that you can go out and copy a person's LinkedIn page, just Control C and
Yeah.
Control V. ChatGPT, if you ask it, will take a shot at what their disc profile looks like.
They will. Also disc-wise, it's not called that, but everybody's email will rewrite something, right? Like make it sound
Yep.
less bitchy. Like I have these, I'm sure we all have certain automated things, and I saw one of them the other day. I'm like, oh my God, who wrote that? And I realized it was the robot. I'm like, listen, dude, I don't talk like that. Be nicer. But you can tell it that to a point, but I think that's interesting too, because even AI is picking up on the fact that there's different personality types that need to be talked to in different ways in order to respond and be
And it,
respected.
Yeah, and again, it's just one of many tools to help us navigate more successfully the world.
Yeah.
And sometimes we poo-poo these things, but if used correctly and sincerely, it's a major catalyst in terms of success. And so I hope people take that stuff serious. Now, um, we got just a couple minutes left here. I do want to point out for those that have joined us, and by the way, thank you so much. We appreciate all the hits we're getting out on YouTube and other social media. Thank you,
Thank you,
thank
guys.
you, thank you,
Good.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
It warms our hearts, even us I's and D's. But yeah, the other thing is make sure you let people know, share the links, share the YouTube channels and stuff that we're on. And I just always want to say this whole episode, it doesn't matter what personality trait, what matters is what do you learn from better understanding yourself and others, and then how do you leverage that to be a more effective communicator, a partner, a spouse, a dad, a mom. It's all impacted by this. And so please take that away. Anybody else?
Dr. Nutedge, so in the spirit of a business podcast that doesn't suck, what are we going to talk about next week that's going to be very fun and interesting?
Oh wow! So we're gonna take we're gonna do something a little bit difficult. They've all been difficult, but next week we are going to talk about the 10 schools of strategy. There are 10 schools of strategy. There's not just strategy. There are 10 schools of strategy. A great friend of mine, one of the top business management professors in the world, Professor Joseph Lampel, quite a while ago now, co-authored a book called Strategy Safari. And we are going to talk about the 10 schools and his take on the 10 schools in his book, The Strategy Safari. I love Joseph Lampel. He's in his 70s now. He's still as energetic as ever. He took every sentence that comes out of his mouth is insight. And we're gonna talk about the 10 strategy schools from his perspective next week. It's going to be exciting, but it's going to be tough, very tough. 10 schools in an hour. I hope we can do it.
I'm ready for it. I got my pen. I'm going to make notes.
So one last thing. So Jessie, as we talk about, she's a real hoot. She said it doesn't suck as long as you don't use straws. So on that note,
Nothing
until
sucks.
next time, keep showing up, keep speaking clearly, and lead with purpose Love you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers. Thank you.
Bye.